Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Kitchings Table. I'm your host, Earl Kitchings, and as we do every Tuesday morning, we bring you something that is informative, something that is knowledgeable, something that is fun. You never know. You just have to wait to see what the menu comes and brings you. I feel like a waitress or a waiter sometimes, bringing out the menu to see if there's something that you might want to hear about or learn about or just want to be informed about. So today we're here with another episode of our Kitchings Table. Joining me as always on Tuesday mornings is my co-host, Ms. Ronline Cannady. Good morning, Ronline.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
It's another great Tuesday morning. Thank you very much.
And before we move on with our program today, we want to say happy birthday, Akila!
Is Akila's birthday?
Today is Akila's birthday. I
Oh
want
my
to
goodness.
shout out, yes.
Well, happy birthday to Miss Akila Thigpen
McCardell.
Cardell. All
Mhm.
right. All right. Well, knowing her, she's going to probably be busy as usual, but I hope she finds some time today to be lazy and spend some time just on her, pamper herself a little bit. But knowing her, that's a hard thing to do. I mean, you probably have to, sit on her to make her do it.
I think her husband is going to take care of her very nicely.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Is that
sit
right? Okay.
down.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, he don't run things yet.
I think he does. I think he does. So, yes.
Not when it comes to her baby. Not when
So,
it comes to her baby. Mm-mm.
you don't see that just yet, huh?
Not when it comes to her baby. No.
Mm,
No. Her baby? No, 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 no. You might
okay.
control everything else, but my baby, you got to take a back seat. You sit over there in the corner till I tell you when
Ah.
it's time. Happy birthday again, Akila. Thank you so very much for all the things that you do in the media business in the beautiful state of North Carolina, for all your clients and all the people that acknowledge and hear your broadcast over the airways and over the internet. Thank you so very much for being a force and a power in this business. And as I told you when I first met you, I see you rising to be a media mogul one day. So stay on that path and continued success. So, yes, you have one more thing you want to say. I could tell.
I'm going to just put it on the screen. So just
All right.
continue.
Okay. Okay. So, today, our topic is going to be light and fun. So I'm going to start it off with a little song. Start off with a little song. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if we never get back because it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame because it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you out at the old ball
Oh,
game.
game.
Yes, yes. Now, that song is synonymous with one sport and one sport only. Yes, baseball. Baseball. And our subject today is cozy confines. They don't talk about any other sport having cozy confines, Ronline, but baseball.
Mm,
And there's a reason, because of proximity and just because I think the fact that baseball has been America's sport for so long, so many different things from the realm of stars, icons, uh, iconic games, uh, all-star games. You call it. We've seen it all. I know I've seen a lot of it. Although I don't follow baseball like I once did, it just doesn't have that feel for me anymore. But the one thing, as Ray said in the movie, A Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come.
okay.
So cozy confines today has to deal with the cozy confines of the stadiums of Major League Baseball. And when I saw this, as I was going through the paper, it just caught my attention that this would be a topic that we should bring and have some fun with. Baseball season has started, and because baseball season has started, then what better way to have some fun with this particular topic? And because baseball season has started, is to talk about the stadiums where these teams play. Iconic stadiums, several of them are. Some are recent that were built or renamed recently. And some of them are just iconic. You don't even have to see the name on it to know what it is. And then we talk about the age of some of these stadiums. I mean, we're talking about over 100 years that they've played in this same stadium. And until recently, one stadium in particular just added lights so they could play night games, and that was Wrigley Field for up in Chicago for the Chicago Cubs. They always just played day games.
Mm-hmm.
There were no night games in Chicago until they recently, and I mean recently, I'm saying within the last 10, 15 years, maybe 20 at the most, that they added lights. Now, there's one primary purpose for having night games. Would you happen to know what that purpose would be?
To catch more people,
All right. And more people means what?
more money.
More money, more money, more money.
The food is going to be gone.
Yes,
All
indeed.
peanuts, cotton candy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The more people, the more money. And of the three primary sports here in America, the one that pays the biggest bucks to its players is a baseball. A baseball pays well. And I think we got a real strong glimpse of that maybe about, maybe 30 years ago. But recently, this particular year, we got another strong glimpse of just how strong the money in baseball is when the pitcher slash hitter, Otani, with the Los Angeles Dodgers now, but he wasn't with them last year. He's a pitcher who could hit.
Mm.
So he's left the pitching now, and all he's doing is hitting.
Mm.
But when you're making, okay, double digit millions is one thing, triple digit millions is something else.
In baseball?
I told you a baseball pay well.
Okay.
You think of football is what's going on. Football is not what pays money. It's a baseball. So some years back, then third baseman uh, who played for the Seattle Mariners, A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, left Seattle and went to play for the Texas Rangers at an annual salary of $25 million a year for 10 years. He signed a contract, 25 million over 10 years. Now, that was at the time, that blew everybody's mind. It's like, oh my goodness. And mind you, TV does one thing when we're watching sports. It minimizes everybody, and everybody looks size-wise about the same. In that little box on that screen, everybody somewhat looks the same, but Alex Rodriguez is not a small guy. He's about 6'4", playing third base. That's in baseball, that's a pretty big guy. But he left the Rangers and went to play for the Yankees. And I'm sure
Mm.
they bumped his salary up just a little bit. But the guy who just signed to play with the Dodgers, He surpassed that amount.
Mm.
He surpassed that amount. Let's just say he's making something like 40, 50 million a year.
Oh my.
That's kind of what the realm he's in, and they pay that. Now you may wonder, how can they pay these guys that kind of money? Well, I'm glad you asked, because here's the deal. In 2022, Major League Baseball, the North American Professional Baseball League, and they had to quantify that because there are other baseball leagues in Central America, South America, where they play baseball. But Major League Baseball in 2022 reported overall revenue of $10.32 billion. 10.32 billion dollars, which averages out to $344 million per team. That's how they can pay that kind of money. And because baseball has the longest season, not month wise, game wise, 162 games in a season. That's a lot of baseball playing. I mean, day in and day out, it's a game per day. It's not as physical as football. It's not as demanding from the standpoint of running and jumping, starting and stopping as basketball. As you know, baseball, you can be playing in the outfield and, one inning, no balls come to you, two innings. If a guy's throwing a no hitter, you're not seeing any balls.
Mm-hmm.
The only person seeing the ball is the infield and, of course, the catcher. But in the outfield, not so many. But $10.3 billion, that's what Major League Baseball made in 2022.
Mm.
So when you talk about that, when you talk about the fact that, it's on TV, I know the teams that are in the major media markets. Or Earl, what are the major media markets? I'm so glad you asked me that question.
Mm.
The major media markets, starting with New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Major. New York and Los Angeles alone are major. Just those two. And in both those cities, they have two baseball teams. And in New York, there's the iconic, world renowned Yankees. The Yankees. And when we talk about the Yankees, we have to talk about the fact that their stadium is iconic.
Mm.
I don't know if you can pull that picture up for everyone. There you go. There it is. Now, Ronline, that's the rebuilt Yankee Stadium.
Yes, I know.
They rebuilt that stadium to look identical to the way it originally looked.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't change anything other than having new materials, new seating, better concessions, more food, more merchandise, better locker rooms. I can just imagine how plush their locker room is for the New York Yankees. But
Mm-hmm.
there it is, Yankee Stadium. The one professional team that has won more world championships than any other team in professional sports in America, maybe in the whole world. The New York Yankees. Now, when you talk about iconic stadiums, I mean, all you have to do is see it. You don't even need to see what the name on the stadium is. You just see it like, oh, that's Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So today, when we talk about cozy confines and we talk about the fact that a lot of these stadiums are basically small in seating capacity. But when you're playing 162 games, and that means 81 games at your home field, that's when you got 81 games and you're averaging 35, 40,000 people, that adds up. And in a city like New York, you go to get a cup of beer and they tell you $10.
You sure it's not 20?
It might be, depending on the size.
I'm thinking
You
it
know,
might be
yeah,
20.
you say you want a hot dog and a beer. That guy says $25. Woo,
Paying.
woo, man, $25 for a hot dog and a beer.
Beer.
So either you want it or you don't. So when you go to these places that the price to uh, eat, drink, be happy, be merry is going to be up there. You go to buy a cap, and we're talking about today 2022, 2023 pricing. You go to buy a souvenir item, and the lowest souvenir item might be a magnet, and they tell you $10 for a magnet.
Yes.
$40 for a baseball cap. I know the Yankees are knocking people's heads off with their baseball cap. That's an iconic cap too. I know they're not, and now that they put them in multiple colors. I mean, instead of just being in the navy, and that navy blue is so navy blue it looks black. That when you can get it in whatever color you like, green, yellow, pink, orange, blue, it doesn't matter. As long as it got that NY on the front, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. So when you look at all the merchandise, but we're going to talk about the fact that these stadiums are just unbelievable in the fact that they are small in size, but they have the dimensions to keep it very nice and quaint, as they say. That's why I'm calling today's topic Cozy Confines.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because when you say that, I thought of when we were talking about baseball stadiums, those skyboxes, those little compartmentalized, what I call little miniature rooms,
Right.
be able to enjoy the game, and then have your food and the whole setup. I mean, it's just really nice, and I love to have team building events there.
Well, baseball, like no other sport, is probably the most family engaging sport there is. And because the game is not as swift as basketball or football, they have time to do more promotions. Now, if you really want to see some fun at a pro sports venue, go to a baseball game in the minor leagues,
Mm.
in the triple A, double A, for some of the cities, single A. Go to some of their games and see just how cozy the confines are, but more importantly, how involved their game day promotions are during the course of the game. Now, the team in Savannah, Georgia, I think once upon a time their name might have been the Cardinals. And each one of these minor league teams is connected to a major league team. So if I say the Detroit Tigers, well, they've got a triple A, a double A, and a single A franchise in some city. And I want to say that once upon a time that the team in Savannah, which at one point in time was being um, owned and operated, or operated primarily by a black female, might have been in the St. Louis Cardinals farm system or in their team system. But now they go by the Savannah Bananas,
Okay.
and they have more fun at those games than you don't even want to guess how much fun they have at their games because of that banana thing. I mean, they are just totally remarkable in their promotions and what they do, and it's all entertainment for the fans. So when we talk about the cozy confines, and like I said, most of the stadiums are in the 40,000 seat range. Even Yankee Stadium, I think they may have cut Yankee Stadium down to now where it's maybe right around 46, 47,000 seats. The largest stadium capacity that I've found are two stadiums: Denver, Coors Field, which is 50,000, and then there's Dodger Stadium where the Los Angeles Dodgers plays, 56,000. Now, when they have games against rivals, for instance, when the Dodgers played the San Francisco Giants, those games are packed out. It's 56,000 there. So, and if you play each other 6 home games per year, or if not 12, yeah, you do a little damage on the financial side. But let's talk about these cozy confines, Ronline, the cozy confines. And as I was looking at the list of ballparks, I found that there are roughly 9 ballparks out of the 30. There are 30 Major League Baseball teams, 30 teams. And of the 30, 9 of them have no corporate name on them.
Hmm.
No corporate name. So the corporate name that goes on stadiums, whether it's football or baseball rather, comes with a price tag. So if you want your business name on that stadium, well, you pay an annual fee, and that fee amount is extended over time. So if they tell you $30 million for 10 years, well, that roughly is $3 million per year just for your name to be on the stadium. You may get some additional signage on the inside, but when the TV media refers to the stadium, they refer to it by its corporate name first, and then they reference the team name. So the listing of stadiums, and I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can, are remarkable because when you think about what corporate names are on these stadiums and who's paying some of these bills, and as I told you, $10.3 billion a year is generated. The TV revenue that comes in is just as important as the game day revenue, if not more so, because whereas there's 40,000 people watching at the stadium, if you've got your own TV network, and I know this because in New York for the Yankees, you can watch during the course of the baseball season, you can watch a Yankees game every night of the season,
Hmm.
every night, especially all their home games. All the home games, they're at home, they're on TV in New York. I know this because when I visited my uncle, he's a he was a big baseball fan, and man, on those nights at the house, the New York Yankees would be on night in, night out. So when we talk about cozy confines, and I think that the internet put these in alphabetical order makes it so much easier. So I'm gonna give you the name of the stadium, the capacity, and the name of the team that plays there. And like I said, some of these stadiums have been rebuilt, whereas others have not been touched in over 100 years. So, American Family Field, 41,900 seats. It is the home of the Milwaukee Brewers,
Oh.
and they have that stadium there. So the Brewers. Then there's Angel Stadium, which is the home of the Los Angeles. They used to be in Anaheim. They still say they're in. They still say they're located in Anaheim, but they call themselves the Los Angeles Angels. 45,517,
Mm.
and that stadium is. It's interesting that they talk about the stadiums being modern, being retro modern, then modern retro modern. Check that out. Modern retro modern. So the stadium, was open and then it reopened again when they redid it. Next is Busch Stadium. Now, as you just heard, I didn't give you a corporate name for Angel Stadium. It's just Angel Stadium. There's no corporate name. They have not sold the rights to their stadium yet. Maybe they won't ever. Next is Busch Stadium. Busch is iconic because it's an old circular stadium. There have been a few of those, not too many anymore. Once upon a time, Busch, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, they all had these circular stadiums. But Busch Stadium hosts 45,000, right at 45,500. It's the home of the St. Louis Cardinals. They call it Retro Classic. I just love how they name these. Next is next is Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks, located in Phoenix. 48,405. Retro modern. 1998 they opened. Then there's Citi Field, which is in Queens, New York, home of the New York Mets. 41,922. Retro classic. Yes, these retro classics. I think they basically just do just enough to, change some things out. They still have their basic look, but they may have changed some things on the inside. Definitely changed those locker rooms. So that's Citi Field. Next is Citizens Bank Park, home of the Philadelphia Phillies. 42,792. Retro classic. Next is Co-America Park. Co-America, not Co-America. Co-America Park, home of the Detroit Tigers. 41,083. Retro classic. Now, this one should be, this is the largest stadium in the Major League Baseball's. Dodger Stadium, 56,000. They just call it modern. It originally opened in 1962. Los Angeles Dodgers, located in Los Angeles, California. They moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. They used to be in Brooklyn. Then there's Fenway Park. No corporate name. One of the smallest stadiums in Major League Baseball, 37,755. It originally opened in 1912. And under the type of stadium, they call this a jewel box. Globe Life Field, and this is the home of the Texas Rangers. And Globe Life Field, let me see, Globe Life Field hosts 40,300, retro modern. So again, one of the newest stadiums. So we're at the midway point here, and I'm looking forward to getting through the rest of these cozy confines. But this is the Kitchings Table. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., join me and my co-host, Ronline, Cannady, as we bring you topics of interest, topics of education, topics that may be fun, like we're doing today, just topics that we hope will enlighten, inspire, and give you something to go, did not know that, or that's interesting to know. This is the Kitchings Table, and just like you do at your Kitchings Table at your home, all kinds of things happen there for discussion. Ronline, these cozy confines, like I said, they are just very intimate settings. So Globe Life, then there's Great American Ballpark for Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Reds at 43.5. Retro Modern, guaranteed rate, guaranteed rate field, home of the Chicago White Sox, 40,615. Originally opened in 1991. That's the second park. The original one was Comiskey Park. Then there is Kauffman Stadium, home of the Kansas City Royals. It opened in 1973. Modern, retro modern. Lone Depot Park, Lone Depot, home of the Miami Marlins, 36,742. So between them and Boston, they are very intimate. And they call this stadium a contemporary. Excuse me, contemporary. Then there's Minute Maid Park, Minute Maid. Yes, the juice company, i.e., Coca Cola. 41,168, home of the Houston Astros. And because Minute Maid is home based in Houston, that's probably how they got that name on that stadium. Retro Modern, Nationals Park, home of the Washington Nationals. 41,339. Call that Retro Modern. Now, the Washington Nationals, interesting. I want to say they started out in Kansas City. They moved to D.C. They were a team for a while, never competitive in their early years or in their years while they were in Washington. Then they faded away from Major League Baseball, no more Nationals, and then they brought them back with a brand new stadium, and they have won a national championship, a world championship rather, since they've been in their new confines and their new stadium up in Washington. But no corporate name. I wonder if that has to do because it's in Washington, D.C., and you can't have. Nah, I don't think so. Anyway, Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, home of the Oakland Athletics, 46,848. It's a multi-purpose park. Multi-purpose being that it's set up where before they moved to Las Vegas, the Oakland Raiders would play there. But I'm sure other things can happen there also. Then there's Oracle Park, home of the San Francisco Giants. 41,265 is their capacity. Retro Classic. Again, the San Francisco Giants moved from New York. They used to be the New York Giants. So it used to be the New York Yankees, New York Giants. They left New York, moved out to the West Coast, and that allowed for New York to start a new team called the New York Mets. And for those of you who don't know why they're called the Mets, that sounds like an odd name. Mets is abbreviation for Metropolitans. Metropolitans because of Metro New York. So I hope that this history lesson that you're getting today, you're taking it all in. So San Francisco Giants, San Francisco, California. Then there's Oracle Park at Camden Yards. Oriole Park at Camden Yards, home of the Baltimore Orioles, a new park for them. Retro Classic, 44,970. Opened in 92. Nice park. They've got some great features there. Then there's Petco. Petco Park. Is that like Petco named after the pet company? Yes. It doesn't matter. Whatever your business name is, if you have the checkbook to write a check, you can put your name on our stadium. We don't care what your business name is. As long as you have that checkbook and you want to write us a check. So the Baltimore Orioles play at Oriole Park, but Petco Park, home of the San Diego Padres, opened in 2004, 40,209. Then we get to PNC, which is the park for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I want to say PNC is Pittsburgh. Uh, I think PNC is a bank, so they've definitely got the money to put their name on it. 38,747 retro classic. Progressive, yes, the company that you see on TV all the time with Flo and all those other folks. Progressive Field is the home to the Cleveland Guardians. Once upon a time, the Cleveland Guardians were known as the Cleveland Indians. Well, as we know, over the past 10, 15 years, they have gotten away from using the nicknames of Native Americans for the teams who play sports in America. So they've basically done away with all of them, uh, and that's at the professional and the collegiate level, except for one. You will not find, uh, you know, but one team in America that still can proudly display the names of a Native American tribe, and that would be who? Ronline. I'm gonna ask you to see if you know what it is.
The Florida State Seminoles.
Well, you're pretty sharp. Let me
Florida
pretty
State
sharp.
University. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the only ones who can still probably put that on a team. But the Progressive Field hosts 34,830. Then we get to Rogers Center, and I'm taking that's named after a business. That's for the Toronto Blue Jays, 39,150. Call that a modern park built in 1989. Then there's T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners, 47,929 is their capacity, retro modern. Then we get to another quaint field. For the Minnesota Twins, that's Target Field. And for those of you who don't know, Target is based out of Minnesota. So that's a retro modern. But here is the smallest capacity stadium in the league. Tropicana Field, another juice company, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. They have a capacity of 25,000. 25,000. That's it. That is it. 25,000. I mean, that you barely can sneeze at that. Then our last three, Truist Park, another bank, home of the Atlanta Braves, which is where Truist Bank is based out of. And before it was Truist, it was just it was Atlanta Braves Stadium when it was a circular stadium. And I think they had changed their name to something else, but Truist Bank, which used to be SunTrust and Trust Company. When I lived in Atlanta, it was Trust Company Bank, the big T package. But they have their name on that stadium or that park at 41,084, Atlanta Braves. Then there's Wrigley Field, the second oldest ballpark in the league, 1914. Call it a jewel box. They have not changed that stadium since they built it. 41,649. That's just how large it was. It was large then. It's still large now as these stadiums have dwindled in size. Chicago, Illinois, of course, Chicago Cubs. And then finally, in the Bronx, New York Yankees, Yankee Stadium, no corporate name on that team, 46,537 retro classic. So there you have the cozy confines. And when you think about the fact that, they are a third of the size to some NFL stadiums, they're definitely a third of the size, or a little over the third of the size to some of these collegiate football stadiums at, 100,000 plus. It's cozy because they play so many games there. I don't need to have 100,000 fans on a Saturday when I'll get the same amount of fans over a 3-day period, which gives me more opportunity to make what, Ronline?
Money.
More money, more money, more money, more money. Averaging $344 million per team per year. That's what they average. That's an average. It could be more. It could be less. Well, if it's more, I recall when I had my souvenir business back in the 80s, and that's a conversation you have to ask me one day. Well, Earl, talk about the business you had for about 10 years when you were in Atlanta, and what kind of impact it had on the college landscape, especially HBCUs. You have to ask me about that one day, because for those companies and those stadiums and those people who out there who are making that souvenirs and paraphernalia that you see at these stadiums now, before it was them, it was a company called Pearl Design.
Ah, okay.
Pearl Designs. And I came into my own from going from just being a t-shirt, and I expanded to many souvenirs. But anyway, going back to these ballparks, I recall one time working the football stadium at the old Tampa Stadium, and seeing a plaque on the wall in their concession company who managed that, where for one Super Bowl they sold 2 million hot dogs. I want you to just let that sink in. One game, one
At
day,
at ten
one
dollars.
game, one day. Now I'm taking it. They sold that many. That could have been just how many they ordered. Okay, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they sold 2 million hot dogs.
Yeah, I don't believe a hot dog went home.
It did not. It did not. 2 million hot dogs. And even if you didn't sell that many, but you ordered that many, you yeah, how many hot dogs are we gonna need? 2 million of them. 2 million hot dogs, which means you got to have how many buns?
2 million buns.
2 million buns.
A little more
Can't have a hot
probably.
dog
Just
without a
a
bun. Can you
bun.
imagine?
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
go down there and they say, "Well, we run out of buns, but we still gonna sell you that hot dog for the same price."
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Well, so the cozy confines, as I stated, are the baseball parks throughout America. There are 30 of them, from 25,000 capacity to 56,000 capacity for our baseball teams, for you to go watch a Major League Baseball game any day of the week. They are not, there's not a day they don't play a game. Maybe not in your hometown, they're not playing a game, but there's a baseball game on somewhere every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, or Sunday through Monday, Sunday through Saturday, however you want to look at it. But they're playing baseball, you know, and those are the stadiums. There are 9 that don't have corporate names. And if you've never been to a professional baseball game, I would say put it on your bucket list to go to at least one major league game and go to one minor league game to see the difference in the type of promotions they do. They do things where they have kids run the bases. They have the 7th inning stretch when they stand up at the 7th inning, and they in Chicago with the Chicago Cubs, and they probably do it at all the stadiums now, where they sing the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and it's just an environment for fun. It's not as intense as football. Football is very intense. Baseball, not so much. It's a lot of fun. So, cozy confines. When you hear the word cozy confines, that's got to be a baseball game. They don't say that about football stadiums. And the reason why they say cozy confines is because of size or capacity or proximity to the field. And I just love the fact that we have this opportunity to visit these stadiums and see what they're all about. So that's our cozy confines for today. Ronline, I'm gonna give it to you and let you do your Black History moment.
Okay, bring up the slide for me.
All right. Well, you start talking. I'll bring up that slide.
I am. So, just to um, say thank you about the cozy confines and what that, I mean, oh, who knew, right? And um, I think I'm going to do two things. One, well, the three things. Do your suggestion, as in go to another professional baseball game, and to the minor league game, as well as I think I'm going to work a game.
Oh,
Yes, I think I'm going to hang out in the concession stand, serve the people. Uh,
oh,
yes,
Ronline,
and just enjoy the camaraderie.
Ronline,
Yes.
I'm gonna say this to you. Working the concessions at whether it be football, whether it be baseball, um, that's a different experience.
I'm going to be running, huh?
You may not be running, but it's a different experience.
Okay.
But enjoy it anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's what I intend to do because
Enjoy
that's
it
the
anyway.
way I get it. I like to talk to people, so that's. But I guess it won't be much talking, huh?
Won't be much talking. Folks trying to get their food and
Food and
beverage and
move.
move on. They don't have. They're not here to talk. They're here to get something to eat and drink and move on. And you want them to move on.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you want them to. Okay.
I want them to move on. All right, so thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to talk about Dr. May Carol Jemison. She is our first Black astronaut of the United States. And that movies that those the drama, well, the Star Trek, that fictional, where they took you out to space. Well, she was our first true astronaut, real life astronaut, for the fiction TV show called Star Trek: The Next Generation. And she truly did represent the next generation. William Shatner, he did get his time to go out in space with space on SpaceX. However, this lady right here, truly an astronaut. Before she became an astronaut, she um, became a doctor at for the Peace Corps, and she received her education from Cornell University. She also taught there for a short time. When she came on board with NASA, was she applied 1 year and was not accepted. But in 1987, she reapplied and she became accepted, and she was able to pursue her career as an astronaut there at NASA. Now, she was able to do only one space mission, and that was on the Space Shuttle Endeavour in 1982. She flew from September the 12th through the 20th in 1992, and her corporative um, mission was between the United States and Japan, and as well as the 50th shuttle mission. She logged over 190 hours, 30 minutes, and 23 seconds in space and orbited the Earth 127 times. So our hat goes off to Dr. May Carol Jemison, and she has gone on to do some beautiful things. She has children's books. I ask that you go to Wikipedia and go into the reference area and just read all about her life. She had, um, s- you know, some hardships as well in her time, as we all do. But I think for the most part, this is a lady that you can be proud of. So Earl, I turn it over to you.
All right, Ronline. Thank you so very much for bringing that to us today, Dr. Mae Jemison. Phenomenal. I mean, to be an astronaut is no easy task, and it requires a lot of being smart. You got to be pretty smart to be an astronaut. So
Yes.
we
She
thank
has
you.
several degrees. She does in chemical engineering, and she's very concerned. One of her things that she's very concerned about is our health. So a
Okay.
lot of her studies and research has gone towards, learning about healthcare matters.
Okay.
So anyway, we close out now.
Yes.
I'll stop
Well,
talking.
we thank you for joining us today on the Kitchings Table. We hope that the Cozy Confines gave you something to smile about or give you some insight. Until our show next Tuesday morning here on your local channel, I'm Earl Kitchings for Ronline Cannady saying, hey, do something good for somebody else today. Take care from the Kitchings Table. Bye-bye.